Hi, friends. Welcome to You Ask Gold Shield Cyber Answers. I'm Darren Mott, retired FBI Supervisory Special Agent, and this is probably the most frequently asked question I get in doing presentations and outreach and speaking to businesses and individuals for over 20 years, and that is, which is safer, an Apple computer or a Windows computer? And I'm throwing Linux in here too because some of you probably have Linux and said, hey, what about us? At the end of the day, it's really personal preference. There's not one that's perhaps more safer or less safer than the other, because you have to understand that all of these devices have code that runs their operating system that's written by humans. And that code, millions of lines long, is going to have errors that bad guys figure out how to exploit. These are called vulnerabilities. That's why every month Windows pushes out a monthly patch to fix all the bad things that they found aren't working correctly within their operating system. Apple does the same thing when they send out updates to your phone and to your MacBook and to all of those devices you have that are in the Apple environment, if you will, or ecosystem, I guess. And so, and Linux too, right? Linux, if you go to Linux and you have to update it, it's because there's vulnerabilities that bad guys are exploiting that gives them access into those devices. So is one safer than the other? 20 years ago, you could probably argue Apple is a little safer in the sense that bad guys aren't targeting them as much because most of the business environments around the world were using Windows devices. Now, with the explosion of Apple devices, especially iPhones, iPads, things like that, bad guys realize there's value there too. So they're all vulnerable. At the end of the day, it comes down to which one do you prefer to use. But regardless, whether it's an Apple, a Windows, or a Linux device, you still need to make sure you have it set up to update when those patches come out that fix those vulnerabilities. So at the end of the day, if you're wondering, should I have an Apple? Should I have a Windows device? Have whichever one you like that makes you happy. Just make sure you update it. If you have thoughts or questions or other things you want to know, feel free to email me at Darren at goldshieldcyber.com. You can also check out my website, goldshieldcyber.com, for some cyber investigative and cyber consulting that I do there. Thanks so much for listening. We'll talk again soon.